Welcome back to the C Morning Show, everyone. A very exciting day for all of us here in Indonesia, as it is Timnas Day. And on Monday, Indonesia trained for the second time in Qingdao, China, one day ahead of their World Cup qualifier against the home side. The Indonesian national players underwent light training during their recovery period after successfully securing 1 point in their match against the Bahrain national team last week. Now, the coaching team has ensured that the squad is currently in good condition and is adapting to the time and weather in China. Prior to this, Shin Tae-yong's team had their first training session on Saturday after a nearly 10-hour journey from Bahrain. Well, speaking of Bahrain, that last one did hurt and almost is just not quite enough. And after failing to secure all 3 points and ending up with a controversial draw against Bahrain, the Indonesian national team will be back tonight to hunt for their first 3 points in the 2026 World Cup qualification journey against China. So, what are the chances for the Garuda squad to secure their first 3 points from Qingdao? Well, today, joining us on the program is football pundit and friend of the show, Jerry Arvino. Good morning, Jerry. Thanks for being with us again.
Good morning. Thanks for inviting again. And I want to say, it's time to move on.
Okay, all right.
It still hurts.
It still does hurt. But of course, coming from someone who's more of an expert such as yourself, I've heard this as well. Like, hey, you're not going to change the previous results.
Yeah.
So I think it's time to leave that behind, because any negative thoughts or feelings, especially for players and coaches, it's not going to be positive going into this next match.
What hurts the most that whatever we did the last time, the videos before, I mean, to send a message to AFC or something like that, it's not going to change the result.
Absolutely.
But maybe it's, prevent the
any future
or something. So
yeah. Well, leave that for the federations and for the officials, because we want to focus on the players and the coaches.
Sure.
And that last draw has put an interesting kind of twist in the standings. So we know that Japan and Australia, they're probably the powerhouses of the group, but there are 4 right now in a tie with, or 3 in a tie with 4 points. So let's take a look at the current standings right now, and let me get your take on where it stands, because it puts us in an interesting spot. Although there's still many more matches to come, especially next year. As I mentioned there, we have Japan obviously having won all 3 of their matches, huge goal difference. But this now puts Australia, even though they're way ahead in goal difference, but also Saudi Arabia and now Bahrain with also 4 points. But we are just 1 point behind, remembering that China has not won a match yet so far in the group. So what are your thoughts on the standings so far?
Yeah, we can give Japan a direct ticket to the World Cup, of course. I mean, it's a different, they beat Germany and Spain, so they're different class from us. So it's between, or maybe Australia or Saudi Arabia. What hurts the most is Indonesia failed to win against the direct rival of us, Bahrain.
Which is Bahrain.
So it's, so it's kind of hurt. So we have a very strong chances and opportunity, because versus China, which the FIFA ranking is higher than us, and from the previous, we were inferior in previous record, but tonight, Indonesia is the favorite.
Right.
So this is the best chance to claim a historic win, the first historic win, and Indonesia, as we know, is the only representative in Southeast Asia in this round. So.
Right. So again, we also talk about how good Saudi Arabia is. So likely them and Australia will be battling for that automatic ticket as well. And we will likely be battling between Bahrain for the move to the next round, to the 4th round as well. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about, you mentioned earlier, it's not productive for us to dwell on the past, but the last match for both teams was tough. Let's first talk about China. They lost 1-3 to Australia. Talk a little bit about that as well, because a lot of times when it comes to football as well, in many sports, when teams continue to lose, they haven't won a game yet, sometimes they're due for a win. Do you think this is the case in China? Do they have a chance with against any of the 5 teams in the group? Because we know they are the weakest right now.
Yeah, China is carrying a revival mission. So the coach, Branko Ivan Nekovic, the Chinese Football Association, the federation, has declared their faith in the coach. But the coach still needs a moral boosting win to restore his reputation and the trust from the Chinese supporters, and they have to win. I mean, they have the urgency to win to keep the hopes alive here. So this is gonna be a tough match, but it's a it's an exhausting game for both because we're flying like 10 hours from Bahrain,
Right.
and China is from Adelaide, so it's a long flight for both.
Sure. And not to mention the weather as well.
Yeah,
I've heard reports that it's quite cold,
Yeah.
especially where the national team is housed. And considering how the weather is here, it might take some getting used to. And also, obviously, Indonesia, that controversial draw against Bahrain. You mentioned that there's going to be protests that are launched by PSSI, the Indonesian Football Federation, to the AFC and to FIFA. How do you think that will at all influence the match that's going to take place tonight?
Yeah, that's what I fear the most. But the situation after the game in the bus, I heard someone said from the federation that they're already laughing together and just making jokes at each other, and
so spirits are still high.
Spirits still high and fun, and they know that they can win. I mean, that belief.
Yes.
The important thing now is we have faith of going to the next round.
Okay.
And last time I interviewed Sandy Walsh, the jersey I wear now, he said that the minimum target is 4 points.
Okay.
So after a draw versus Bahrain, so maybe this is gonna be the historic win, the first historic win. So it's still on target.
Okay.
I mean, 4 points from back-to-back away games.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for the controversy at the end of the match, if we had come out with just a regular draw, we would have still quite likely been okay with that as well against Bahrain. So let's talk about the last 10 matches. China have lost 5 times, drawn 4, and only won once, which is against Singapore in March. You talk about the revival of the Chinese team. Obviously, they have belief in their coach, but do they have the strength in the players, do you think?
Yeah, this is not the same China that reached the World Cup in 2002.
Right.
And nor is it the same China made it to the semi-final in 6 out of 8 edition of AFC Asian Cup from 1976 to 2004. Right. So it's a very different team, just like Indonesia.
Sure.
Very different team than the last time we met versus China in 2013, if I'm not mistaken, with that jersey.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a classic one.
It's an old jersey.
Yeah. So it's a difference. So we cannot compare to the previous match between Indonesia and China, because Indonesia and Bahrain, last time we met, it's like 0-10 in Bahrain, but it's so different. We almost win. So China has a player, but they have an issue about the match fitness and about the injury. But the key player like Si Weneng, the scorer against Australia, suffered a minor injury, but already fit now. And Wu Lei, who ever played in La Liga with Espanyol and top scorer in Chinese Super League, has returned along with the Brazil-born named Alan Carvalho, the striker. So Zhang Yuning, Wei Xiaoho is a player that can make a difference.
And probably players that we should be watching out for tonight as well. Let's talk about, you mentioned a little bit about the travel time from 10 hours from Bahrain. Not only that, dealing with the time difference, possible some jet lag the first couple of days there. Not to mention the weather as well. Now, when we played against the teams in the Middle East, such as like Bahrain, probably the weather would be a little bit easier to acclimate to. What do you feel with the strength of our players? How do you feel they can acclimate? Because remembering now we have some naturalized players that may already be used to playing in different weather, such as us in Indonesia.
Yeah, so because many of our key players are from different countries.
Correct.
Different leagues, different weather. So they got used to it.
Okay.
And then as they mentioned that Jordi Amat and Sandy Walsh suffer minor injury and will recover soon. But hopefully Sandy can play. But maybe Jordi Amat is out. But we have Rizky Ridho and we have, we got the squad depth now. So it's going to be fine. I
admit we have squad. Let's talk about the squad depth a little bit now that you bring it up. I would say our back line, our defensive line, we're very good. This is probably why a lot of our score lines are quite low. We're able to defend very well. But many would argue that where we are the weakest, if you're to find a weak point, is our striking. Now, I was very surprised to hear that, prior to that last goal by Rafael Strike, that was actually his first goal at this level as well. And Orang Mangun, those two players obviously gave us that 2-1 lead in that last match against Bahrain. How do you see our attacking players at this point, and what we can do to actually, they were talking about if we were able to kill the match. Many fans said if we were able to kill the match, they wouldn't have had a chance to have that controversy at the end. How do you see our front line at this point?
Yeah, it's interesting when you mention Rafael Struijk. It's his first goal, but we have to understand and realize that nowadays the modern striker is not only for scoring goals.
Right.
But some system, like in STA system and maybe Manchester City system or Arsenal or Real Madrid, is not necessarily the striker has to score many goals.
Single role, right?
Yeah, but it's off the ball movement, how to attract the defender, and that's what Rafael Struijk did.
Okay.
For Indonesia. So when the goal came, I mean, maybe the goals are coming, hopefully.
Yes.
But playing away, travel time and then the fatigue and to gather the player from different countries and different leagues are so hard. I mean, China and Bahrain, almost all players play in the same league, in the Bahrain league or Chinese league. So it's different about the fatigue or match fitness. So playing away was hard in Bahrain, and it's going to be hard in China. So playing a pragmatic way or reactive is the good thing to do. I mean, so counter-attack, we got a flashy winger, so it's the right strategy.
And I think I hope that you're right. Having those two goals have really kind of, we call it turning on the faucet, right? Like I hope that has opened the faucet for us to lead to more and more goals. Now we talk about how I remember Mr. Eric Thohir, president of the Football Federation in Indonesia, said our target is 15 points, and if we had won against Bahrain, it would put us at 6, and if we win against China, it would put us at 9. But technically, with the upcoming remain matches in 2024, it would still put us on target for those 15 points.
Because we conceded twice versus Bahrain from set piece.
Yes.
Free kick and corner kick.
Which is what they're good at.
So the defense was very good and very solid with the addition of Miss Hilgers playing with Jayadzes and gonna be maybe Rizky Ridho in this tonight's game.
Yeah.
So they're good, and we remember that attack or offense wins your game, but defense wins the title, or maybe secure our place to the next round.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Hey, I'm familiar with that line from basketball. Does that work for football as well?
Yeah,
like
of course,
wins games, defense win championships?
Yeah, because playing away, back-to-back away, it's hard. It's very hard. And we know that we were inferior versus China and Bahrain from the past times.
Sure.
So all we need is to gain result. So there are many ways to gain result. We know that maybe the players or the market value of our players now is getting higher from the players from many countries. But the mentality and the experience of playing in this round, which is the first time for Indonesia, maybe the second time, but from long ago.
Yeah.
So all we need is to squeeze result. So maybe we have to play like that, by a reactive or pragmatic, to gain a result, to get the historic first win, hopefully tonight, and then we get the confidence. And after that, we can play like Indonesian way.
Yeah, I agree that I think when it comes to a situation with team sports, once you notch that first win, it really builds. It kind of flicks the switch in your head and realize, we can do this.
And the confidence and the situation and the confidence is very important.
All right, so let's talk about the starting 11. It's always very hard to predict the starting lineup. It's much different than basketball.
It's in Taeyong anyway.
Right, and coaches like to play games with their starting 11s, mind games for their opponents. So how do you predict the starting 11? And what is certain is that Jordi Amat, who started against Bahrain, is he going to be absent to focus on recovery? What do you think?
Yeah, hopefully, because as they said that he suffered a minor injury, as I said before, and we got Rizky Ridho, which is very good on the bench, coming from the bench from the second half. So it's not bad change, because maybe even better. I mean, more fit and younger, so he can compete with the maybe fast player from China or someone with a big posture. So it's very fine. I mean, to change Rizky Ridho, to change Jordi Amat to Rizky Ridho is not a downgrade.
Sure.
I mean, more fresh.
Yeah.
So it's very fine.
Okay.
So, but in the front line, or maybe the midfielder, which we got a squad depth, I can predict.
It's
because,
so hard.
Right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy. I was happy to see Malik Rizaldi play for maybe the first time in this round.
But you were surprised.
Yeah. Many were surprised.
You're right.
But he put on a very good fight. I mean, from the second minutes, he got bruised here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he still play, and he still got a fight, and he got a speed. So, so it's not a problem.
All right. So, well, we look forward, obviously, to finding out who's actually going to be in the starting 11. But whoever it will be, I'm sure they will put in their best performance. Now, before I let you go, I always got to put you on the spot. What's your prediction for tonight and a predicted scoreline?
Historic win. Historic first win for Indonesia.
I agree. The only question is, what's the score? I think we both have the same prediction. We both have the same prediction.
The score. Hopefully we got a clean sheet again. But yeah, as I said before, that playing away is always hard. So maybe, hopefully, is, we need that goal difference. So maybe it's 3-1 for Indonesia.
Oh, wow. You know what? I was going to say a 2-goal gap either. I was either going to say 2-0 or 3-1. But since you said 3-1 I'll go with 2-0.
Okay.
All right? We'll see how it goes.
Whatever it is. 3
Whatever
points
it
first.
is. Yeah, 3 points. That's what
we got that point first. We got the goals first.
Yes.
Because China had intention to create an early goal.
Absolutely.
As they got in the match versus Australia and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So
and we don't want to be in that position because we were in that position against Bahrain, where after they scored the first goal, we got behind. They tried to stretch the clock a bit before.
A beautiful first goal, anyway.
It was.
It's like Zidane.
Yeah.
But after that, in the second half, we play. I mean, arguably one of the best half. In our this third round.
Yeah, I have to agree. All right, Jerry, it's always great to have you on the show. Always love chopping up football with you.
Yes.
And can't wait for both of you. You'll be working the match later tonight with one of the networks, and I'll be watching happily at home, as many Indonesians will be as well. Once again, thank you, Jerry Arvino, for joining us for this deep dive into tonight's match between Indonesia and China. We'll obviously bring you the results and more depth talk in regards to the results tomorrow on the program as well. We've got to take another short break, our final one of the show. But when we return, we have more entertainment news before we wrap things up. Stay tuned.